Alrighty, welcome into the live desk. My name is Janae Hancock. We are just counting down to the Great American Eclipse, and we do have coverage all across the board. But I do want to start things off with KCTV5 Chief Meteorologist Luke Dorris. Now, Luke, you actually planned to go to Perryville, but now you're actually in the path of totality in Girardeau. How are things going out there right now?
It's good, and you're right. Yeah, we initially planned to go to Perryville, a little further north by about a half hour. But the reason why we came further south is the clouds. We're kind of on this line that I'll show you in a little bit of high, thin cirrus clouds. They're not enough that you wouldn't be able to see the eclipse, but it would mute the experience. So we thought the better play was a little further south in this town, Cape Girardeau. It's this quaint river town in southeast Missouri, right in the path of totality. So it started really foggy this morning, so foggy we could barely see as we were driving. But that lifted. Now it's sunny, it's warm. There's a ton of people here. This place is buzzing, and it's all for the eclipse.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I see some people walking behind you. I know you spoke to some people during our morning show earlier, but you're joined by a woman now. Tell us a little bit more about her story and what brings her to Cape Girardeau.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is we found people from all over the country. I mean, Oregon, California, Florida, and Georgia. I mean, very few people locally, but people like Taran here that have come from a long way. Taran, where did you come from?
California, Los Angeles.
How long did it take for you guys to get here?
Probably like a day.
Okay. Did you flew in, I'm sure? Okay. How long have you been planning this?
Probably like a year.
Total, a whole year. And were you able to get a hotel locally?
Probably like an hour away, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing is people have to, you can't hardly find anything nearby. I mean, a lot of this stuff has been booked up for a long time. Yeah. And what is it that you hope to see today?
I hope to see the total eclipse.
Have you seen one before, a total?
No.
Okay. You think it's going to be an incredible sight?
Yeah.
It ought to be, as long as these clouds can hold out. So I think we're going to do okay. Taran, we're in for a sight. Thank you so much. Let's show you around a little bit. So when we got here this morning, this parking lot was already starting to fill up, but people were kind of hanging out in their cars. The sun hadn't come up yet, and over the last couple hours, the place really filled in. There's no parking left, and people came out and started telling us their stories. And what's really cool with it is you're meeting people from all over the nation, and they're all here for the same reason. It's a uniting party. It's really a party, but it's also everybody's coming together to see this great celestial event that's coming up here in just a few hours. What, about 3 hours away from it? Just before 2 p.m. is when that's going to occur here. Now, Ken, if you look out past that bridge, you'll see, maybe you can make it out on camera, there is that deck of cirrus clouds. That's what we're watching. Now, that's not low-lying stratus deck kind of clouds that would block us from being able to see the event, but it could take some of the punch out of it a little bit. And what we wouldn't see if that were to fill in here is the corona, the big grand finale of the solar eclipse. So we're fingers crossed that stays a little bit further north and that we'll have clear skies like we do now.
Yeah, Luke, and I know you are prepared to tell us all about the history. Let's kind of really break into this. I know there was a lot of excitement back in 2017 with the eclipse then, but we're seeing a lot more travelers this year in 2024. Give us a little breakdown of the comparison and what makes this eclipse so special.
There's a number of things that make this one for the books. I mean, any total solar eclipse is a spectacle. But this one is even special among total solar eclipses. And one of the reasons why is more Americans are going to see this eclipse than any other time in history. About 12 million people live in the path of totality, millions more funneling in as travelers to that path of totality. So that's one thing. The other thing is the duration of the total eclipse. It'll be about 4 minutes, up to 5 minutes in some spots. That's long. That's, a lot of other ones are about 2 minutes. So we'll have those two things. And a third is that the sun goes in 11-year cycles, and it will peak for this eclipse. And what that will do is when we have the corona, which is witnessing the sun's atmosphere, there's only one time that you can see the sun's atmosphere. That's during a total solar eclipse. And you get these strings of hair, which is superheated plasma to 2 million degrees that fires off of the sun. And the magnetic poles of the sun will pull it typically in like these kind of two lines. But because the sun is at its peak cycle, it should be able to be all around the sun, a very dynamic corona, something that's very rare that we're going to be able to see here today. So it ought to be a really special one.
A really special one, and I know that some schools are getting prepared for this exciting event. Give us a breakdown. I know that you are in Cape Girardeau right now, but a breakdown of maybe what we can expect here in the Kansas City region.
Okay, so Kansas City is going to have about 89% of the eclipse. So it's a partial eclipse, and that's cool to see. You know, you put on your glasses, you'll see the crescent shape of the sun cut out as the moon passes in front of the sun, and the sky will dim, and that will be what you can expect there, which is a fascinating sight. The difference between 89% and the difference between 99% and 100% is a totally different event. One is a neat sight, and the other is you're seeing the wonders of heaven and the only way that you can witness it here on earth with your naked eye. So what we'll start is about 15 minutes before total eclipse, we'll get a rapid dimming of the sky, and the shadows will look different. You actually can get wave-like shadows on the ground due to the turbulence of the atmosphere and the sun's light coming from one focused point as the sun or the moon passes in front of the sun. And additionally, crickets come out about 15 minutes before totality, so we'll begin to hear that. The weather will begin to change. Clouds can evaporate. The winds will lighten. And as we dim further, well, you can cool by as much as 15 to 20 degrees once you get into totality, which is interesting because our computer forecasts actually can simulate that. So the weather will change. And then what happens next, right before you hit totality, is something called the diamond ring, and it's the last gasp of the sun's light just as the moon is about to completely overtake it, and you get one spot that looks like a diamond ring on one side of the moon. Right after that, the sun is blocked by the moon, and you can see the craters of the moon through the sun's last light passing through that. It gives these little speck-like looks that you can see with the naked eye. It's called Bailey's beads. And then the grand finale is the corona. That's that superheated plasma of the atmosphere of the sun that goes out for millions of miles from the sun, and you can see it right there with your naked eye. It's the only way that you can see it. So then nightfall occurs, animals behave weirdly, and again, the temperatures drop, and you can actually, if you're in a high enough point, look around at what's called the 360-degree sunrise. And that is where you can see the towns that are outside of the moon's shadow. We won't be able to see it here in Cape Girardeau because we're down near the river. It's very low lying. But if you were high enough, you'd be able to see outside of the moon's shadow. The sun or the moon's shadow is traveling at 2,000 miles per hour. So it will rapidly move past, and then you get sunrise again, and that will be on the back side of it. So it ought to be a wild event. I've not seen one before, but I understand why people travel thousands of miles and spend thousands of dollars to see them. And as we talk to people that have witnessed them before, they say it changes your life and it changes your perspective on how you see the world around us. And I just can't wait.
Yeah, definitely a once-in-a-lifetime event. Now, I did speak to a Wichita man who is making his way to Austin, Texas today, and he said also that last year, or in 2017, he heard birds chirping and coyotes howling. So you definitely want to look after those four-legged animals and see how they react to the solar eclipse today. Now, Luke, I do have some questions here on our Facebook page for you. Tina saying, so will St. Louis see the eclipse? I thought Dallas would have the full effect. If you have any questions for Chief Meteorologist Luke Dorris, be sure to leave them down below and then we will let him go. But Luke, do you have an answer for that?
For Dallas didn't look good. In fact, we talked to a lot of people. They're in the path of totality, but a lot of people had booked, hotels or Airbnbs and flights to go to Dallas or Austin. But the cloud cover is a problem there. It's going to be a thick layer of clouds. Dallas and Texas in general just didn't look favorable once we got closer to the event to witness it. St. Louis is a partial. So they will not get totality. They'll experience something kind of similar to what Kansas City will, which is a dimming effect and a portion of the sun cut out as the moon passes in front of it. But they won't get nightfall. They won't get the diamond ring. They won't get the corona in St. Louis. We actually stayed in St. Louis last night at a hotel because you can't find hotels anywhere but in surrounding areas. So we had to drive an hour and a half in this morning, which was fine. But it was worth the trip to head further south to Cape Girardeau.
Again, a lot of people traveling to see this event. Luke, I am going to let you go because I know that your coverage is really just getting started ahead of this major event. Thank you so much for joining me here at the live desk. I truly appreciate it, and have fun out there.
Thanks, Janae. It's going to be a blast.
I look forward to seeing all the photos. Thank you so much. I do want to turn things over to our website, KCTV5.com. You can see this web story on your page right now. You can see it says share your Great American Eclipse photos with us. We are asking you to send all of your photos in. We have already received just one. It looks like these two dogs, Ruger and Ryder, are ready for the 2024 Eclipse. Some t-shirts, and it looks like they're going to be having a watch party as well. They have food related to the Eclipse as well. That includes Sun Chips and a Milky Way, and the Eclipse gum and Starburst as well. I do see a question here on our Facebook asking where you can get glasses if you want to watch the eclipse today. KCTV5 meteorologist Greg Bennett was actually at Hy-Vee early this morning, and they do have glasses on sale. As far as anywhere else, I see someone saying Lowe's and Home Depot have glasses as well. So it's definitely worth a shot to go maybe check out some gas stations to see if you can get some glasses so you don't miss this event. But you need glasses in order to check it out. I also want to turn back to our website, KCTV5.com, taking a look at this web story as well. As far as everything you need to know ahead of the Great American Eclipse, we have it all laid out for you in this web story. To find it all you have to do is hit the news tab right at the top, but it is also on our home page. If you need to submit photos or you would like to submit photos, they might show up later on air during KCTV5 newscast. All you have to do is hit submit photo right at the top, that tab there, and it will direct you here. You're going to scroll down and you see this right here that says share your Great American Eclipse photos with us. And like I said, our coverage is really just beginning. I do want to remind you all of what you can expect throughout the day here from KCTV5. KCTV5 is the home for the Great American Eclipse. Now, our coverage begins at 12:30 on our streaming apps. Then from 1 to 2:30 p.m., you can join us on KCTV5 for live coverage coming in from CBS News. We'll see you then.